First off, I'm going to make a bold thesis statement, and that's that I think that Marvel's doing too many events. You know, the Comic-Con, then D23 in Anaheim, and then D23 in Brazil. You throw some other stuff in there that they've been doing. Like, for instance, they've been showing that same Daredevil trailer to everybody but the general public for months now. I just think that, I just don't think they have enough. I think, especially, D23 in Anaheim, is every other year. Maybe they should have, if they're gonna do that, maybe they should do it actually every year, and it just changes where it is. Like one year it's in Anaheim, the next year it's in Brazil. I get, but I'm curious, what do you think? I don't think that any of their announcements this weekend have really hit. But maybe they hit in South America, which is, of course, a huge market. Brazil is huge, although they do love DC best down there. Fingers crossed for a Superman trailer at Brazil Comic-Con the first weekend of December. I think we're getting it. But anyway, I'd be curious as to what you think. But I actually find it fascinating what we got out of today's Marvel D23 presentation in Brazil. Because by releasing these two trailers back to back, neither one had a really big reveal, though, which is new trailer 101. You're like, what's everyone going to be talking about after they've watched this trailer? How funny Red Guardian is? I like David Harbour. But, like, what's the thing? Everybody's like, wow, did you see that? Neither one of these trailers really had that. But seeing them back to back made me realize some very important things about both films and also MCU's 2025 situation. Also, up front, I'll say MVP of the two, Florence Pugh, and runner-up, Mr. Harrison Ford. Now let's discuss, and I'll explain my positions, and I'm excited to hear your explanations for how you feel down below. I want to hear your MVPs and your runner-ups, and again, by the end of the video, I'll tell you why I picked Florence and Harrison. All right, so it wasn't until I watched both trailers that I realized, first I was like, how refreshing that it's a different intro for a Marvel movie. I liked seeing like a different kind of setup. But then when I watched both trailers again to do this video, I was like, wait a minute, there's a name for this aesthetic, and it's called Russo Brothers. That's right, they didn't just bring the Russo brothers back, but they're taking style cues again from them as well. Because if you'll remember, the Russo brothers got their start in the MCU with Captain America movies and Super Soldiers. And both these new movies are in that MCU subcategory. Oh, fascinating. So while usually the MCU can release a lot of product at once because they've got 31 freaking flavors, two of their three movies for 2025 are the same flavor. Oh, I don't know about that. It would be great maybe if therefore these two movies tied together story-wise, but that kind of synergy seems long gone from the MCU, and I miss those days. But I think especially because these two movies find themselves opening up back-to-back by accident and not by design. But they've known for a while they're going to be opening up back-to-back, and they've done so many reshoots. Why not try to connect them somehow? I'd be like, they're both basically they're in the same section in the subcategory of the MCU. I also think it's interesting that Marvel chose to showcase Thunderbolts on Twitter/X instead of Captain America, which opens first, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Red Hulk is a hunk of burning love. Although, does Marvel really think that guys are going to get to pick the movie on Valentine's Day? Deadpool, though, did very well on that date. That's also, by the way, President's Day weekend. Talk about synergy! I hope they play that up in the ad campaign. They're like, President Ross. But as of right now, also, no other studio dare to counter-program this film. That is so stupid and ridiculous. I hope somebody takes, again, not to compete, but to counter-program. Barbenheimer, Gladiator, Wicked, but this has been, Hollywood's counter-programming is a term that has long existed because it's long been a tried and true strategy. So you've got a 4-day holiday weekend and Valentine's Day factors in there, and you don't have a female-centric movie for the same weekend? That's just dumb. All right, and I checked the shows too. There isn't even like a show that's going to take, a streaming show that's moving in there. All right, so I do really like this poster. And as some have pointed out, it's a nice nod to a classic Captain America comic book cover. But I also think it's very funny that people are pointing out that it's kind of Avatar papyracy. They're like, isn't that what was, I think, what is it, Helvetica or something? That's hilarious, because it is. I mean, come on, we all use Photoshop. You're not even going to put a shadow on that, like a drop shadow, or like the glow. I'm partial to the glow myself. I like a good alpha glow. But that's nuts. And by the way, also in the Thunderbolts trailer, isn't this just impact font? I mean, what's going on over there? If I were SNL, I'd call up Ryan Gosling and well, they've already done a follow-up sketch. I'd do another one because this is hilarious. Speaking of weird choices, it would seem that the true villain of Captain America 4 is awful CGI. Oh my God, what are you showing me here? Come on! I mean, wow. Like from this stiff fist on the poster, that's hilarious in and of itself. But also, all these shots in the trailer, you're like, my goodness, holy CGI Batman. The first trailer went with the theme of redacted files. I liked it. But the second one is doing the it's all connected vibe with the moving lines. I like that, which also allows for some cool juxtapositions. I like the way they did that. But here's something even cooler. Maybe mind games. You'll notice that President Ross is confused. And then suddenly, half the room disappears with a snap. Cool sound cue. Is it intentional? Has he been Manchurian candidated? Another old film, like, I mean, like, if you're a cinephile and you like this stuff, you're like, ooh, but I mean, some people might be like, I don't care. Is it fun? I mean, I guess obviously it should check both boxes, but I appreciate it. President Ross is confused. Isaiah Bradley is confused. And did you catch this? Reset Ross, reset America. I don't know how making him a Hulk resets anything, I'm like, I like what you've written on the wall, but it seems like the rantings of a madman. All right, so who's pulling the strings? A literal line from the trailer, or more accurately, injecting the gamma serum. Why is he red and not green? Is it because he's a Republican president, maybe? That would be hilarious. But I looked it up. I was like, why is Red Hulk red and not green? And apparently he got hit with some cosmic rays as well as some gamma rays. I mean, they're going to have to come up with something else because that just sounds dumb. But the leader is back in action, but also Sabra is going to be an interesting player in the game because she's an Israeli agent who went through the Black Widow program, supposedly. So where does her allegiance currently lie? She has a lot of options. The United States, Israel, Black Widows that are now their own agency, herself, we'll see. Sam, right? He's building his own group. But because it's not the group, I wonder, the Marvels really was hurt by the fact that it was built on Disney Plus, on the shoulders of Disney Plus. And unfortunately, so is this movie. And so is Thunderbolts. That's not, they're very similar. And it just occurred to me right now while I was filming that is another way in which they're similar. Both these movies spin out of Disney Plus. All right. Also with the Thunderbolts movie, films that were not particularly well received. All right. All right. So, multiple Black Widows, by the way, in these two films, back to back. And again, as I said, with all the reshoots that they've been doing, it would have been nice if maybe they did tie the two films together. And I hope that's something that maybe is waiting to impress us. And while they might have modeled Red Hulk's chest off of young Harrison Ford, his head is totally current Harrison Ford. Even down to the teeth. You would think Harrison Ford would be like, you don't have to play up every imperfection in his lower row of teeth. And they're like, no, we're doing it. But I don't know. It's very effective. I'm like, that's Harrison Ford, all right. He looks more like Red Hulk than Mark Ruffalo looks like Green Hulk. Although these Hulks are pretty sexy. She-Hulk too. I'm trying to make She-Hulk happen. Yes, I am. I will say it. I think She-Hulk is great. I think Tatiana Maslany was fabulously cast, and I wouldn't throw away that character just because some of you didn't care for the show. Man, I want to bring her back. So, but where's the Hulk's calendar? And speaking of product placement, how much did GMC pay for this little nugget? I was like, oh, I see it. And wow, this is a nice shot. Very clear and present danger. I love that. A little Mission Impossible too, although the last Mission Impossible tanked. But don't forget, Harrison Ford and I liked that last Mission Impossible. I thought it was incredible, but no, again, maybe a little too old school. But speaking of old school, Harrison Ford is still the most famous Jack Ryan, although again, maybe some of you just don't care. So yeah, the military is tracking Cap in the battlefield, right? I mean, he's in the air. He's a weapon of, he's on the board. And, as you can see, at least at the beginning, he's very much working with he says he's got his own agenda, but he's clearly working with the government. He's able to go all Top Gun, and he has some really slick moves in this trailer. Although I don't know how he can do the superhero landing without shattering his knees. I'm like, you don't slow down even a little? He didn't take any super soldier serum. In movies with tons of super soldier serum all over the place, I wonder how they're going to explain that. How's he going to go up against a Hulk without any super soldier serum? And at this point, how could he take it without seeming to go against everything that he's stood for up until now? He's really kind of put himself, backed himself more into a corner by insisting on taking the high road. All right, he's also got maybe two Red Wings will even the odds. He's like, no super soldier serum, but did you see my two little buddies here? Although maybe they're not both his, maybe one belongs to the new Falcon. Danny Ramirez is Joaquin. Sam's wings can slice and dice, fully retract, and do origami. But here's an interesting question. Do they overshadow the shield? I'm not sure. I think they might a little bit. The Russo brothers Captain America movies made me finally appreciate Cap's shield. I always thought, what could that do when I was reading the comics? But seeing it actually in live action, I was like, that's pretty cool. And I have to say, in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, when, Cap, in the end, when he became Captain America, when Falcon became Captain America, he had some cool moves with the shield. And maybe he does in this movie as well. But right now I'm seeing a major focus on the wings and not the shield. And I think just like again with the comics, it makes Sam Wilson feel less like the new Captain America and more like a patriotic theming of Falcon. I can understand wanting to make the character his own, which, obviously you do want to do. But, I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe what part of the problem is, here's another version of Captain America right over here in this trailer. There's Captain Americas everywhere. You can't have that many. It's supposed to be, there can only be one. And I'm also extremely upset, by the way, with whoever styled Bucky's hair. Woo! By far the worst Bucky hair to date. Absolutely criminal. I just can't believe someone let him walk around on set like that. Even if Sebastian Stan was like, he must have liked it that way. Maybe I don't even know what to say, really. What do you guys think? And we'll see how Bill Pullman Jr. does, but I'm still upset this isn't Sam Reed from Interview with the Vampire. He would be perfect. He would light a fire under this movie like you wouldn't believe. I think this movie Thunderbolts would have greatly benefited from a little bit better casting. Would Steven Yeun have done the trick? No, I think it should be Sam Reed. All right, so clearly Thunderbolts, though, as is all about Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova. This shot, oh my God, it's amazing. Doing her best semi-serious Harley Quinn. I definitely think they're trying to make her like Harley Quinn. But speaking of comedy, I hope it's just this special look that's a little too heavy on Red Guardian and not the entire movie. We had the Red Guardian limo service. It's cute until it's not cute. And you're like, okay, I get it. And again, as I said, I love David Harbour. I love him. He and Red Hulk can have a dilf-off. Although, why do we have to choose? And by the way, kudos to Harbour for being the only one to fly to Brazil to promote this movie and doing this hilarious callback to Andrew Garfield's recent red carpet gag. That was pretty funny. I liked that a lot. I wish that he had done that on the stage at D23 and not just backstage for the press. That was very clever. But that's right. Florence Pugh is that booked and busy. She can't do any of these promotional events. She's also, again, maybe very tired from carrying this entire movie. This trailer, though, has a lot of cool shots that do not look overly CGI, so I appreciate it. Like this one, very Batman from the Nolan movies. I guess maybe when they were doing the aesthetic here, they were like, Russo meets Nolan, and I'm like, I don't know. I think Marvel's supposed to be more colorful. That's another thing that Deadpool and Wolverine did a good job with. I appreciate the Bucky action. I don't like his hair, but I like his moves. Very nice. Although I must say the Russo brothers still did a better job with him, at least from what we're seeing. None of the stuff here is as cool as his moves in their movies. He's clearly, though, now that we've seen a little bit more of this scene, he's clearly the one he helps them out and then he brings them to Val. And I love the clear nod to Dark Avengers with Val having them work out of Avengers Tower. It better be more than just a nod, though. It is taking way too long to tell these stories. Like, I don't want to rush through them, but then they shouldn't take years to tell. And then it takes so long, sometimes they never materialize, or they materialize really poorly. Like, we waited so long for Secret Invasion, and then look what we ended up waiting for. I'll never get over it. All right, 2 pet peeves, though, with this trailer. Here, why doesn't Ghost just phase? I'm like, come on. And then also, they don't do enough to play up Taskmaster's ability to copy the moves of other fighters. Even when they introduced her in the, I was so disappointed that they had a male stunt double for most of the scenes in the Black Widow movie, because that's when the character seemed the coolest. I'm fine with gender bending the character, but she's got to earn the spot. And so far, that has not been the case. Am I looking forward to these 2 movies? Yes, I am. But seeing their 2 trailers back to back made me realize that maybe they shouldn't be released back to back. A lot of dualities, and I think that's a hindrance, especially if they aren't intentional. And also, as I said, now one of these trailers had a cool new reveal, which I think would have helped both of them. You don't want to show too much, but that's another downside to doing all these events. You don't want to give away the entire movie. But then also, you don't want to seem like your movie can't move the needle of discussion. It's a balancing act. All right, as I said, MVP Florence Pugh, hands down. That's why her co-stars would rather have a cardboard cutout of her next to them than have her not next to them at all. And I wish Scarlett Johansson, by the way, had gotten a chance to shine like this. I feel bad for her too. Runner-up, as I said, I'm going to have to go with Mr. Harrison Ford. He's still got the star power, especially in a Jack Ryan type movie like this, where he has always shined. It makes a difference, just like Denzel is doing all the heavy lifting in the new Gladiator movie. Who do you think is the MVP of these 2 new trailers and the runner-up? And do you think it's an issue to release these 2 movies back to back? What are your box office projections for these 2 films? I suspect, unless they're hiding some great stuff, they're like, shh, don't tell anybody. These 2 movies are actually amazing. I would be thrilled if that were the case. I think the Deadpool and Wolverine trailers hit harder. But anyway, right now, based on what we're seeing and the fact they're so similar and that they build off of Disney Plus, I'm going to go with 600 to 800 million, Alex. Or Bob Barker, right? Where we're doing Price is Right or Jeopardy. But 600 to 800 million. I guess Price is Right. I'm going to 600 to 800 million range worldwide. I don't see a billy here. I don't see a billion for either one. And especially with 9 MCU projects in 2025. At D23 Brazil, Kevin Feige did say that after 2025, they're going to go to, I think they were saying, 3 movies a year? 2? Well, I'll put it up here. It's 3 and 2, breaking either way. But that's not what 2025 is going to be. They're clearing the deck, I guess. They don't want to sit on this stuff any longer, which I do think is the right call. These things often do not age like fine wine. So yeah, get them out there. But 9 is tough because the problem is that Marvel fans are going to feel that they can wait for digital or streaming, and also casuals. Woo! Especially, and even for fans, how are you going to get them to go back and rewatch these movies a bunch of times? Because again, they're going to have plenty of other MCU content to tide them over while they wait to be able to do so at a lower price point. Although unless you've got a subscription service to your local multiplex, then, have at it. But, what do you think? Again, what do you think? I think the real issue is that they're back to back. I think that's the issue. I think Fantastic Four will benefit from feeling so much different, so different from these 2. But, we'll see. Okay, so again, what do you think? Share your thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.